Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 185. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Wednesday Motivation and Inspiration, and today we're really going to talk about something that's really important to me. And I had to learn this myself. Slow progress is still progress. So, let's get into it. Now, if you feel that you need to keep up with everyone, guess what? You don't. Slow progress is still progress no matter what. So please don't feel you have to work toward your goals every hour of the day. Balance out your life with working toward your goals, getting rest, and doing something recreational. Now, recreational, what I mean by that is the gym, bike rides, hikes, things like that. Not recreational in doing bad things. And you know what I mean by bad things, like alcohol, drugs, things like that. No. I wanted to clarify that because I don't want anyone to take that the wrong way. Now, some days you're going to have all of the energy in the world to just do work, knock out things, but then there'll be days where you won't have it and you can only do a little bit, and that's okay too. And that's happened to me lately. Like the burnout happens where it's like you've done so much work, you've accomplished a lot, and it's just like, all right, time to take that mental break, time to get away from all of that. And it's good. You should. Now, we all need some days off. So don't think you have to work 7 days a week because, you know, you will be drained and you will burn out so fast. And then you're going to be spending another week trying to recover. So if you work 4 or 5 days and you take a day off or 2 days off, whatever, it's okay. Trust me. I had to learn that and I'm still learning that. And thankfully, I have people in my life that are like, look, take a break. You're working too much. Do something else. It's funny because I always tell my mom, working, and my mom's like, all right, well, you're gonna burn out. She's like, your body's just gonna be like, yeah, sit your butt down and do something else, right? Because I can literally sit and watch sports games and still be writing blogs. I can be watching sports games and working on, a certain project or whatever the case is. So I'm doing two things at one time. And sometimes I may be even listening to music. So it's like my brain is just like, all right, you're working me overload, right? And now lately I've been like playing like games on Apple Arcade. I have an iPhone, whatever, I have an iPad, whatever the case is. If you have an Android, that's fine. I'm not judging. But anyway, I've had Androids before, just for good measure. But point is that I've been, playing, little games and stuff like that. Playing NBA 2K23 and playing a baseball game and things like that. My mom's like, "Oh, you're doing something different. You're taking a break. Finally." It's kind of like that. She busts my chops about it, and what I'm trying to say is that you need a break from things. And as far as your work, when you're doing your work, it's like whether you work 30 minutes, 3 hours, or 6 hours, sometimes something is better than nothing. So the day that, you work your full-time job and then, you do all the things you got to do as far as taking care of your responsibilities and you finally sit down and it's like 9 o'clock at night and you go to bed at like 12, it's like, I don't have 3 hours to do work. That's okay. Work for an hour because that hour is going to make a difference in your journey. And slow progress wins at the end of the day. I will always say that. And I always try to, tell people that it's a marathon, not a race to the top. Because there are no really overnight success stories, if you really think about it. So continue to do the work you need to do and really like just enjoy the process and the journey. And that's something that I didn't do. So I want you guys to do it. I want you to enjoy the process a little bit more. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're passionate about, like just enjoy the journey one day at a time, one step at a time, and just do not feel obligated to look at what everyone else is doing and things like that. You don't know what it took for that person or those people to get to where they are, right? Because everyone's journey is different. And I constantly tell everyone to carve their own path. And that's one thing I'm thankful that I've done, is that I've carved my own path. And when I say there's no overnight success stories, there really aren't. Like you guys look at, let's say, like Michael Jackson, right? Legend in his own right. Rest in peace to MJ. I love Michael Jackson. He's one of my favorite music artists of all time, right? Now, he was in the spotlight at a very young age, about what, 6, 7 years old. But, everything was a process to get to that point. He had older brothers, things like that, older sisters, whatever the case is. So his parents did all the things they had to do. Not going to sit here and talk about, Papa Joe and all that stuff. Neither here or there. But anyway, the point is that he got to where he was because of all the work, the practice, the progress, right? You look at an athlete like LeBron James, comes into the NBA at 18 years old, right? But no one's realizing that he's been playing basketball since he was probably like 5 years old. So 5, 6 years old, probably younger than that, probably like 4. So let's just say 13 to 14 years of playing basketball and working at it and growing into his body and developing his skills and doing all the things that he needed to do to get to that point. So it's like when you see athletes like overseas players who play basketball at like 14, 15 years old, they started at like 3, 4 years old developing their skills and becoming the person that they wanted to be as an athlete, right? You look at one of the best soccer players of all, two of the best soccer players of all time, and Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. These guys, were playing at a young age, right? They developed their skills and really got to where they want to be, right? You look at doctors in their 30s. You don't know how long it took for them to go through, you know, getting their bachelor's degree, getting their master's degree, getting their PhD, the clinicals, all of that to get to where they are, right? So it's like everyone has their own path, everyone has their own journey, but it was slow progress, all the work that they were doing. Athletes, they study, they learn, they develop their bodies, they learn their bodies, they lift, they weight train, they're resting, they're recuperating, all of these things that they're doing to get themselves to where they need to be, right? A writer like me, if you guys were to look at the first 10 pages of The Struggles and Growth of a Man and how I started that book, and then you start looking at my books more of now of like how I started my books, it's a whole different realm. Like if you look at A Man's Plight Part 1 and you look at that, it's a whole different landscape of how I write now, and how I develop stories, and how I work on my craft, and how I learn about myself and who I am and how much I'm challenging myself. So for me, everything is slow and steady, slow and steady. I give you guys 3 podcasts a week. I'm basing them off of my blogs, but my blogs are kind of, set in what they are. And sometimes when I come on this podcast, I may think of an experience that I've had, and now I can incorporate that into my podcast along with what the blogs that I wrote. Slow progress, right? I'm not trying to be at the top yet. I'd rather go through this grind and go through this whole process, and by the time I get to year 7, year 8, and people go, "Dag, man, how come I don't even know you've been around?" By that point, everyone's like, "How many books do you have? How many podcasts do you have?" Now, everyone's got to play catch up, right? So that's why I, really enjoy the journey. I don't really put as much pressure on myself anymore. And I want you guys to not do that either, because pressure only leads to like unnecessary stress that you don't want. Focus on one project at a time. Put in time. Don't rush the process. Once you finish one project, then focus on the next one. You want to give the right energy to that specific project that you're working on, and that's how great content is created and produced. Perfect example of this is, I I'm on Twitter and I engage with pretty much a lot of writers, authors, creators, things of that nature. And there was this young woman who was on Twitter, and she said like something to the effect of, how do you focus on doing one project at a time when you have so many other ideas and so many other things that you want to do? And I broke it down as simply as I could, right? Because I go through this too. Try to focus on the one project that you're doing. But while you have all of these other ideas, you need to write down all of those ideas. You need to have those brainstorming sessions and get all of those ideas out, and then go back to that project, right? So I know that certain days of the week, and certain times of the year, literally, is where I do my best writing. Like, I don't really do my best writing, honestly, between October and about May, because I'm immersed in college basketball, NBA, college football, NFL, Major League Baseball playoffs, and probably about 10 TV shows that I'm watching at one time. I'm not going to get my best writing done at that time, but when May, June hits, college football, NFL football are already done. College basketball is already finished. The NBA playoffs is kind of towards its end. Major League Baseball is kind of kicking in, but I don't get to watch my New York Yankees every single day because I live, on the West Coast and I don't have their local network. I would have to go to great lengths to get all that, and I tried and whatever. But that's not the point. What I'm saying is that I write at a certain time of the year during the summer. That's when I can bang out everything. The weather is nice and it's great here and all that, but I know that I have a mental focus, and I've been pretty good and consistent at it for the past few years, right? So that's where that slow progress is still progress for me, right? So don't feel obligated to do all these things that you don't need to do, because at the end of the day, you're going to win at this. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you're passionate about, you will win. And with that said, that's my podcast for today. I thank you guys for listening as always. Be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.